Well, maybe we can start if that feels all right to you.
Yeah, it's okay, Scott. Well,
Yeah,
and I just want to say it's good to finally meet you.
I know. I know, isn't
It's
it?
been a really long time. Yeah. That we've known each other, but we've never met.
I know. Maybe a year and a half, is that right?
Something like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And where are you right now?
Santa Fe, New Mexico, or outside. It's the county of Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yeah. And how long have you been out there?
I've been here twice. So I've been in this house for almost 15 years. And I think I moved back to Santa Fe about 17 years ago, but I was there. I moved initially in 95 just for like 9 months. And then I moved to Colorado.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And yeah, I guess the intention, what do you feel is our intention or your intention in us speaking? What would you say?
So, I'm not one, I don't mind one-to-one talking, but typically I was always like the therapist, so I listen to other people, but the reason I agreed to it was if you ask me questions that are really helpful for other people in my situation, to help them decide what's best for them, to help neutralize any feelings they're getting from society, you know, about their thoughts of like, I've just had enough with my life. As one person asked me, like, why are you going to Switzerland for bod? And after she listened, she said, oh, so you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I'm like, that sums it up. That's so easy, and um, it's it's a really hard society that we live in. It's really judgmental and critical. And people don't understand chronic illness or severe suffering unless they're in it. And that's not the majority of the population. So everyone I run across, or most everyone I run across, can't understand. Even my doctor, because I had tried, I was going to do VSED a year ago, voluntary starving, stopping eating and drinking. Um, and he said, I have other people, patients who they're losing their mind. And so they're willing to do it and they've done it. He said, but I've never met anyone who's losing their body and they want to do it. And it's like, huh, well, maybe everyone else can take pain medications, but I can't.
Hmm.
So I am like suffering so much being in the physical body. I don't know that there's any medications for dementia or Alzheimer's, that help cognition, but there's a lot of painkillers for the body, right? But I can't take any. I've tried everything. So my body can't tolerate medications. Um, and so if there's other people out there, I want them to go, there's only so much suffering you can deal with until it's like too much and you don't have quality of life. And it's okay to say, I let go now rather than wait to deteriorate more and more and more.
And can you tell me about your plan for this journey to Switzerland for people who don't know about Pegasus or what VAD is? Can you tell me a bit about that?
Sure. And I don't know, is it called VAD? Or is it called VOD? I don't know.
Uh,
But
I,
yeah,
probably one, yeah.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I had tried twice to stop eating, but food for me is really nurturing because I don't have medication to alleviate all the pain I'm in. And if you make me starve, then I'm in even more pain because it's torturous to starve, right? It's not fun unless you're really, really ill. Because I was at that place where I could have starved because I had no appetite. I'd say, oh, I should eat. And I take like a half a bite of a little banana and go, oh, I'm full, like that's what, but I'm not there now. I just have this excruciating body pain. So I knew I couldn't, V said wasn't for me. I'm not eligible for MAID. If it had been, if it had been part of New Mexico in 2016, then I would have done MAID, but it wasn't. And I was referred to hospice. So I have few choices other than to commit suicide, to do like violent acts. And it was like, that's not me. I can't do that. So there are two organizations in Switzerland, and one is Pegasus, the other is Dignitas. Um, they offer different versions of allowing you, assisting you to die, like MAID, medical aid in dying. So I had to apply. I had to send in all my medical stuff. I had to explain why. I had to be, of course, over 18. And you have to send in a bunch of money. It's not cheap.
Hmm.
And then I was accepted because it's a really valid reason. Now, one of the questions they ask are you depressed? And it's like, well, of course, if you lived in my body, you'd have depression. It's a natural outcome of suffering, it's not like it's a joyful place to be. And so because I didn't lie, I right before I go, I'll have to talk with a psychiatrist for 5 minutes so that he knows I'm of sound mind and in clear thinking, and it's my choice. But I applied. I'm going to be going. I had to send in, get a date that I'm going to go through it, had to pay more money, and have to either bring if you go by yourself, you have to bring x-rays of your teeth to prove who you are, or you bring a person to identify you.
Hmm.
And I'll meet with them the afternoon before, just go over all the paperwork. And then the next morning, they'll insert an IV into me, I guess my arm. And when I'm ready, I either move a lever or push a button, I'm not sure. But for those who are super, super disabled, um, they have it set up so you can maybe even just like move your head a little, the slightest bit, and it'll set off the IV. And within 5 minutes, I'll be dead. And it'll be gentle and peaceful. I'm like, instead of like I'm getting a lethal injection, I'm getting a lethal IV to die, right? And I picked this organization because the other organization, I think you have to, at least last time I looked, you had to fly there twice. You had to go there, interview with them, come back, and then go again. And then it's like you have to take, like with medical aid in dying, an anti-nausea half hour to an hour before. And then you have to take it's supposedly vile tasting um, cocktail of meds that will slowly kill you. It put you to sleep and then eventually you die. And it's like with my poor digestion, I'll probably vomit that stuff up,
Hmm.
you know. And so this is I don't have good veins, but they said they're okay with difficult veins, right?
Hmm.
So this will be a much easier um, method to go, so. And they'll ask me many, many times, are you sure you want to go through with this? Are you sure you want to go through with it? And people do back out at the last minute.
Hmm.
You know, well, I have unfinished business. I think I'm going to go back home, so that's kind of it. And then they cremate you and send your ashes wherever.
And do you have a date on when you're going to fly over to Switzerland?
Yes.
Are you going to go significantly ahead of time or just a few days beforehand or?
Just a few days, like it's like a 24-hour journey. It's a really hard journey. Um, but I'll have a data rest, a data interview with them. It's not a whole data interview with them, and the next morning just um, go through with the VOD. Um, yeah, it's not like a vacation. So I'm just go and I wanted to have an extra day in case there's issues with the planes because travel's often not smooth sailing, even though it's not on a boat. But yeah, so
So that's, if I'm doing the math right, that's about almost 40 days away, right?
what are we?
It's March 30th.
Yeah, no, so like I'm going May 4th and then it's May 8th.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I'll get there May 5th, you know. Um, so actually, so I'll have May 6th to rest, May 7th to interview, May 8th, the morning of May 8th. Yeah.
How are you feeling about this period of time between now and when you fly to Switzerland?
Well, it's been a lot of preparation, like how to complete everything before I go and who to give all my belongings to, how to close up this rental house, how to tell my landlord. And even I had to write something to him asking, like, if I choose not to go through with it at the last minute, can I come back here? But if I do go through with it, can this person rent this house next who means a lot to me? So like I've had to, and where does my money go in a thoughtful way? Um, just it's a lot. And last night it was, well, this morning my the end of my dream was like, oh, there was all this snow, and all I had to do is get on this, it was probably a tray and not a sled, and just sled right down. And then I opened the door. It was like easy, easy. Um, just yeah, sliding down. So I think most of what I needed to do is kind of like done. I just have the closing up of things, closing up of accounts, um, all that kind of stuff, not leaving any messes behind. Um, so it's actually a fairly busy time,
Mm.
more so than typical. Um, yeah. Like I slept almost 12 hours last night. I mean, it's exhausting for me, right? But um, yeah. So it's an okay time. It's also a grief comes in waves, grief about never having solved things with my family and the conflicts with them, never having figured out how to get my body healthy, which has not been healthy for many, many, many years, and never, trying everything imaginable to even just get out of pain. And grief over, I think, losing the identities I had. Um, feeling like, oh, I'll miss the color and some of the beauty in the sun, but maybe I won't miss it when I'm gone. But it's not like I hated life. I just hate suffering. I just don't like pain. And there's a lot of pain in letting go and just surrendering to what is and going, I can't do this anymore. It's not like a simple, easy path.
Do you
It feels
feel,
like it's courage. Go ahead.
sorry, you were saying,
No, I'm just saying that it feels like it takes courage to go ahead. It's just and a leap of faith as well. Yeah.
absolutely. Do you feel pretty resolute right now with this decision? Does it feel like this is definitely what you want?
Yeah, I mean, the minute I feel into the pain, like I just check in with my body and it's like, you can't keep doing this. You have to get out of this pain. It's like inside my body screaming, get me out of here, get me out of here. I did make two other dates. Um, I think it was for January and for March. And I quickly canceled both. I mean, when I was accepted, I was like, I felt relieved, like, oh, I have a gentle, peaceful way to leave. The hardest part is going to be travel because my body can't take travel, right? Travel's hard. But twice I was like, I'm not so sure yet. Like I want to leave because of the pain, but I'm not so sure. And this time it's like, it's not getting better. It's just getting worse. Like, yeah. So I think I'm pretty resolute. I mean, there's probably less than 1% of me that question once in a while, but not much.
How would you say living with this pain how has that expanded your understanding of your human experience? Like, has the pain at all been a teacher for you?
That's an interesting one. Well, I think my whole life, I've had extraordinary pain. I've had illness on and off my entire life, like severe illness. And it just, it makes, I think it just brings more compassion to the human experience. Like, man, being a human on earth is really fucking hard. It's not an easy path. And this is just one more um, experience that makes being human on planet Earth super difficult. And it creates, like, inside of me, more of a gentleness and more of a kindness um, towards others because no one can understand the pain I'm going through. I know that unless they're going through it. So I can't understand anyone else's pain and what they're going through, but everyone is in pain, on some level. That doesn't color the whole existence. Like I feel like the pain is for me at this point, and it doesn't color my whole existence, but an awful lot of it. Um, and it also has shown me like the instinctual part of our bodies, the struggle with no matter how much pain I was in, that survival instinct in us is like, I'm still going to fight this. I'm still going to fight this, like I got to survive. Like this is so inherent in us, right? And yeah, it's been an interesting one to say, you can't take over anymore. I have fought to survive so many illnesses, so many situations. And no, another part is winning out this time. You know, just is. And that's been an interesting one because there's different parts of us, right? Yeah, but that's what keeps most of us going, that instinct to survive.
You mentioned that part of this that really brings up grief for you, and I'm wondering what else has been challenging on this journey. Obviously there's the physical pain. I'm wondering if you feel like you've, forgiven anyone you need to forgive or made peace with any part of reality or a person or a decision. Where are you, would you say, at in that reflection on this life and the people that you've known and how you've lived?
Well, I'm not a big one for forgiveness. It's just understanding. just understanding where other people are. Yeah, that word forgiveness has always not made that much sense to me in some way, but um I think it's like, I feel like for a number of years now, I've just been doing a whole life review of all the people in my life, all the situations, all the decisions I made, the way I treated people, the way people treated me, and just have worked towards understanding it all, just from their perspective, from my perspective, sort of like how, if you've ever listened to books on the afterlife, or I'm saying listen because I can't even read anymore, so I just listen to audible audiobooks, right? Um, it's like a lot of times people talk about going through a life review afterwards to understand it all, like a fast moving movie of every event, and having this deeper understanding. And I feel like that's what I've kind of been doing while in this life, while slowly letting go. Um, I mean, memories just come up, flooding all different phases of my life, and then just looking at them and understanding. And yeah, there's sadness because as humans, we're pretty messed up emotionally, like we're really damaged goods, each one of us in a different way. And it's not our fault. I mean, it just is, right? And so like trying to understand where people are coming from and why they treated me that way, or I treated them that way, or I reacted that. Yeah, I think I've done a whole lot of review around that. So it just helps neutralize my life and what's gone on and what was. And have an acceptance, I guess. Yeah.
Do you feel like you're in a place of acceptance now?
Of the life I've had.
Yeah, and you mentioned understanding.
Oh
And
yeah.
when you
Yeah.
get on the plane for Switzerland, do you feel like you'll be flying with a, clear mind, clear heart, or will it be a great heaviness for you where
Ah, I see it as I'll be excited. I'll be like, I have to get on this plane, and oh, this is going to be so difficult. The physical part of, I mean, flying was always hard for me. But my body hates it. Um, but I like, oh, it's over. It's over. And that's what it's almost over. It's like the kids saying, Mom, we almost there yet? Are we there yet? How much longer are we there yet? And it's like, oh, it's almost over. It's almost over. This struggle. Yeah, that kind of thing. I'll go back to sleep and tell me when we're there, but no, that's what we did as a kid, right? It's like, go back to sleep. So I think, yeah, I think I answered your question.
do you feel a sense of self-love or a spiritual part of this experience?
I mean, the words that come to mind are, I've done the best I could, and I'm still doing the best I can, you know. Um, I'm not dying because I hate myself. I think it's a loving act. It's the kindest choice I could give in my situation, because I could keep on keeping on. Actually, I was told for years now, because what the chemo did was changed things. So the red blood cells probably will not stop working again. So I will not be ready to die within 3 days like I was 9 years ago, right? Instead, it's caused in many more autoimmune diseases. And a much lower, much more compromised immune system, such that mixed with cancer, such that, but which is a chronic cancer, not terminal at this point, that I could just keep living and living and living and living and just deteriorating more and more and more, and more suffering and smaller world and less quality of life. So for me, I feel like it's a truly loving act to say it's time now. Don't make yourself suffer anymore. Don't put yourself through torture. At times I felt like, like I'm a prisoner of war being tortured. And when could I be set free?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the, if I may say, spiritual side of this for you, or you can substitute any word that you want. Do you have a sense of, for yourself, what happens when you'll leave your body, or what your faith is, if that is a word that speaks to you right now?
Well, um, I've journeyed on this a lot. I feel like I'm going back home, and my home is actually a star where there's other star beings, light beings. I feel like I'm going to be a light, an eternal light. I also feel like I'm going to continue my work from non-physical realm. Like my true essence is going to survive. My body will die. My family bonds will and ties will die. Um, but I'll continue, I spent an adult lifetime working with children and families. And I'll continue helping children from afar who are dying. One of my first internships was actually, it was as an art therapist. That internship was in an acute care unit for children. Like one little girl, she had leukemia and all her hair fell out. And so she did a flower with all the petals on the grass on the ground, symbolic of her hair falling out. And another little girl was having open heart surgery. She had been flown from Africa. And, I helped her learn to draw a full body, and she was afraid of the surgery. And afterwards, she just opens her gown and shows me the whole scar down her, chest. But I'm still alive, and she's drawing full bodies. And, but it's like, what about all those children that their parents are struggling to keep them alive and putting them through every medical treatment? Like I was put through medical treatments 9 years ago when I didn't want to be. In my heart, I was just doing it for family, and that was the wrong choice. And just there was a time to just let people go, let them die. Don't put them through these torturous medical procedures that keep you alive longer but don't give you back quality of life. Don't make a child do that. And a child is going to acquiesce to their parents' wishes so much easier than an adult, because it's like, oh, mommy, daddy, I love you, I'll do what you want. Even inside, if they're like, oh, I don't want to go through this anymore, suffering. So I think children who are very ill need help, you know, from afar, to either speak their mind or get the message through. It's going to be, again, it's not going to be in the way humans interact. But there's a real necessity for advocating for children and what they need when they're so ill, you know.
Absolutely. And I've heard you sort of speak that at this moment, your cause celeb is helping other people who are confronting similar disease issues, health issues, chronic illnesses similar to you that you'd love to shine some light or give them some guidance, what would you say? And also, you have a career of working in the psychotherapy field, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So, is there any way that you can speak to that right now in terms of guidance you'd offer to someone else?
Well, it's complicated. Because it's my experience from a very young age, um, that brought me to where I am, I believe, because my father, um, almost died when I was like, I think 14, of some rare blood disease. And I was later told it was multiple myeloma. And he did die while I was in college. And I saw what medicine did to him to keep him alive. I mean, he volunteered to be a guinea pig with Sloan Kettering. And this was so long ago. This was in the 70s, 1970s. And he was given such massive doses of chemo. I mean, that he went from being a 51-year-old or something to looking like he was 125 or 150 overnight, right? And it was like, what are these doctors doing to him, right? This is not dignified kind of end of life. And and then I knew when my mom had blood cancer as well, leukemia, the same as me, um, she was going through the chemo, and it's like, oh my God, they're keeping you alive, and you're getting immunoglobulins and the chemo, and you're getting the mini strokes, and you're getting all these side effects, and you're losing your eyesight and your hearing, and all these drugs are just complicating your system more. Like, why keep on holding on? And so that's from the two experiences. It was like, I'm never doing chemo. It compromises you. It keeps you living longer, but you're just dying longer. You're suffering longer. And so actually my doctor didn't even understand how many years ago? 12 years ago when I was diagnosed or something. I don't know how many years ago. When he said, you need to go to an oncologist. It's like, I don't want to go to an oncologist. I don't want treatment. and and I had to like fight him, and so I'm not telling people not to seek treatment. I'm just saying there's a trade-off. If you want treatment, then you're going to have complications from the treatment, and it's probably not going to give you the same life you had before you had the treatments. It compromises you a lot, unless you're not as sensitive as me. Maybe it's not the same for everyone. So if you have a lot to live for, like you have to see your kids grow or your grandkids grow, or there's so much there that you're willing to keep suffering, then go for it. But just know there's a trade-off here, and it's not always the best decision for everyone. It certainly wasn't for me. I mean, there's a lot of regrets having done chemo and blood transfusions 9 years ago. You know, um, hindsight's 2020. I would have never listened to my siblings crying and to listen to them begging me, and honored their wishes rather than honoring my own wishes. But that's not for everyone.
I read in your application for Pegasus, you mentioned sort of that your aim is a peaceful, graceful death. You use those words. And then also in a piece of writing, you brought up the analogy of an abandoned building. And I'm wondering, how do you how do you take this journey right now, from the image of it being an abandoned building to arriving at VOD in Switzerland and giving yourself a peaceful, graceful death. Could you walk me through that of what it means to be this abandoned building and how you hope to achieve this ultimate goal of a peaceful, graceful death?
Excuse me. I'm an abandoned building in the sense that everything that gave meaning to me in my life is gone, except for beauty outside, right? Except for nature, that's still here. I can't be in it the same way. But all my passions are gone. Like I used to illustrate, paint with psoriatic arthritis, with Ehlers-Danlos, with leukemia, with the effects of chemotherapy, with long-term Lyme that wasn't diagnosed for 30 years. I have connective tissue issues. I cannot I cannot illustrate and I cannot paint. It's too much physicality. I my I love to dance and do yoga. I love to listen to music. My brain cannot listen to music. It hurts. And I can't dance. And if I do any form of yoga with anything, my bones and my muscles and my joints just they're excruciating. Like so anything to any kind physicality. I loved swimming. I love biking. I loved hiking. I love skiing. Anything is just too much for my body to handle. So, like, I have to live this sedentary lifestyle. Reading is too hard. So I have to listen to Audible. I loved working with my clients and helping. It was so meaningful. Um, Doing the art therapy, the play therapy, the counseling, the family work, the individual work, seeing people grow. But I can't hold that space. I loved doing family constellations for people where I would be the one representing everyone I was doing the family constellation for. That's too much energy to hold. I was in groups where I was representative for family constellations. I was so good at being a representative, but I don't have the energy to hold that anymore. If I hold the energy, I can't let go of it. I'm like so depleted. So everything, and then I just loved meeting people, talking with strangers, hanging out with friends. But any of that is too exhausting. Um, I even had people it was too hard, especially in the heat. So last summer, like I had people shop for me and go to the store for me. And it was like, no, this is way too isolating. I can't even have interaction with the cashier that's checking me out, which is always like some kind of playful, light conversation. Or maybe I make a joke or something where I just bring a smile to someone. I can't even do that, you know? And so it's like, my world's so tiny. I stream on TV. I could do it for 7 hours, for 10 hours. I mean, and I was never like that. I mean, I liked watching a movie here and there. I liked a little bit, but I was never like that. But I can't do much of anything. And so everything, like as I wrote in that abandoned building piece, is now in the attic collecting dust. I've given most of those things away, actually, or they are just collecting dust. So there's like no meaning in my life. It's emptiness. And then in that abandoned building, I also talk about my structure, my systems being broken. And it's true, like no one could even hug me because the gentlest of pressure whiplashes my neck, takes my whole system out. My connective tissue is so weak. Dogs know I love them. They run up to me. They always lean into my right leg. There goes my hip. Then it goes into my knee, my foot, my elbow, my neck, my head, and I'm totally out. The gentlest of anything. Um, this, my teeth are falling out, they're crumbling, or they're just falling out from the dry mouth from chemo. So I'm constantly at the dentist, which is constantly then taking out my neck and all that stuff even more. My systems, yeah, like I don't have enough energy. I never know when I have energy. I never know when I can count on it. More often I'll have it in the morning, but then by the afternoon I can't function at all. My digestion has always been horrible and it's worse than ever. So I have to eat the gentlest of foods. I'm chemically sensitive, environmentally sensitive, always have been. I can't go to places because of scents. I know there's other systems in there I'm forgetting, but in general, I don't remember what the other one was. In general, it's like my whole body, like I can't be renovated. Nothing is going to save my body, which is my building. The it just needs to be demolished. It needs to be knocked down. And if I keep on hanging on, I'm just going to see more pieces fall apart, more teeth fall out, more more systems falling apart. Um, yeah, and anything I try to fix, then there's more complications in the fixing. There's another issue that it causes.
Hmm.
Like just even trying to get rid of pain, morphine, fentanyl, ibuprofen, anything. Man, it just messes up my gut so bad. I can't function. I can't, I don't know which is worse, the body pain or the gut pain or then I start itching all over. That's the Ehlers-Danlos thing, the histamine release. It's just like, oh my God. So it's like, there's no point in trying to keep on trying. There's no quality. And I'm a skeleton.
So how do you take that reality and approach this last phase of your life? How do you go from right now and orient or visualize and achieve what you want in terms of a peaceful, graceful exit? Is there anything that you want to do between now and when you get on the plane to Switzerland, for example?
Oh, no, I'm gonna say goodbye to the practitioner from palliative care who was helping me with pain meds, who understood that I couldn't handle anything, and acupuncture really doesn't do enough. Gives me a tiny bit of relief, but it's not enough. And he's very understanding of death with dignity. So I'll say goodbye to him. I'm still having to close up with I sent the letter to my landlord about my plans and if he'd allow me to continue renting here until I die. And then it's final that I'm ending my lease for 30 days. And still have to wait for him to hear back. I couldn't just have the conversation because I knew he'd break down and cry. I mean, I've known him for 15 years, right? He's a really sweet man. Um, I just have things to close up. I'll still take walks outside. I can. Um, but there's nothing, I just need to know everything's complete. Like the personal rep who's going to carry out my wishes after I die, that she has everything needed, all my accounts, all the information, all my 3 years of old taxes, all just whatever she needs. Um, yeah, saying goodbye to some practitioners I'm still working with. Um, there's not a whole lot. I've done so much of the letting go. I know that then I'm just gonna get on the plane and I think the peaceful and graceful is that I'm just gonna be in a really quiet space from the time I get on. I'm in a quiet place already.
Hmm.
I'm very isolated. because I don't have energy other than going to practitioners like the dentist, the body worker to keep on putting my body back in place, the acupuncturist for pain. But that's kind of, yeah, it's not a, it's been a slow transition of letting go and letting go and letting go. Like I let go of my private practice a year ago, and I just keep on letting go of all my belongings um, over the year or more. So it's just the final pieces, just the final little pieces. And then it's like, I'm done. And then it's gonna, I think being in Switzerland, I picked a place I hope is non-toxic. They had one hypoallergenic room with a wood floor. And there's a lot of landscape outside, a lot of nature. That's what is peaceful for me. And I'll sit outside in nature and then I'll just press the button, um, and be gone, and have a loving person with me as a witness. I'll do some shamanic journeying before because my shaman is traveling with me. So we're going to journey a little bit every day, bring in the place I'm traveling to, bring in all the beings, the light beings that surround me, the loving ancestors that have been supporting me, my deceased dogs who support me, Amma, who I feel supports me, actually Sai Baba as well. Just all these beings from my planet, that I've connected with already, or star. And they've been surrounding me already. But I'll keep on bringing them in to surround me in light so that I'm really supported in my transition.
How did you decide who you wanted to go to Switzerland with?
Um, so it just kind of happened. Like, there's not many people I know that are very open to dying because you're physically in too much pain. And the two people, because a couple of years ago, it was like, I need to talk to a therapist again. I need support, And most of the therapists are like, you need to be more in life, and you need to go out to tea with friends, and you need to go to the swimming pools, and you need to do this, and it's like, you don't get it. You're not in my body. You don't get it, you know? And there's two people I've met along. And so then I finally found the people. It was a journey. It was a search. Not everyone understands, like, when the fatigue and the pain and the weakness is too much. But a death doula I was introduced to from End of Life Options, New Mexico. I was referred to her. She's a gem. She's so understanding of that. She met with me. She she wanted to know about my medical history and where I was now, and she like totally got it. And the same with one therapist said, I can't help you, but I don't think I'm the person. But she said, but my husband was in so much fatigue that he just needed to end his life. He had no quality of life. And, you know, he worked with the shaman. I don't know if she said he worked with the shaman, but I think she kind of inferred it. And he actually did the V-set, right? She said, I really think that the shaman is who would be a good fit for you. And so she gave me this gal's name, Catherine Rita, and I contacted her. And she is the other person who is like so open to, when you're ready to die, you are ready, inside. And I have worked with her for it's probably a year and 3/4, something like that. And I think the death doula a little less, maybe a year and a half. And those are the two people that are totally understanding. There's no judgment. I don't get that Yeah, because I don't get that societal norm of like, that's fucked up. That's not okay. That's suicide. It's like, no, it's not, you know? I'm doing this openly, consciously, letting go of everything. I'm not doing it violently. I'm doing it because I'm suffering and in too much pain. You can call it suicide, but that's not how I see it. It's death with dignity. It's dying in a dignified manner and not making myself suffer any more than I've already suffered. And so it would have been one of them that would go with me. Actually, both would have gone. But Catherine immediately offered. And I was like, great. And I've worked more closely with Catherine. And then when I even asked Sherry the idea, that's the death doula, every time I want her help, she's traveling. So she'll be in Sweden. I'm like, oh, so you can take a plane over and visit because I'll be in Switzerland, right? But so, but she's like, I can support, I'm like, I want you to support Catherine before and after I pass because she's going to be alone. And she needs support. This is not going to be easy on her. Both of them see it as it's an honor to witness my death and to be there while I'm dying. They view it very differently than most of society that I know, that I've come across. So, yeah, Sherry's going to be there for Catherine via phone or however, before and after. And I'm sure Catherine and I will both connect with Sherry while we're in Switzerland. They'll both, Sherry will get my ashes and they'll both walk my favorite trail in Santa Fe that's on the river, the Windsor Trail, and go to my favorite tree and the river. And yeah, just not that just as ritual, because I'm not going to be there. My ashes aren't me, they're not my essence, but just as ritual. Um, so that's how kind of Catherine, she's just like, no, it's an honor. I'd love to. And it's like, great, okay.
Is there anything else that you want after you pass? You're mentioning that Catherine and Sherry will scatter your ashes. Is there anything else you want from your community or from people in general? Any wish that you have for humanity, for society?
No, other than, well, okay. My act of going to Switzerland and ending my life sooner than I would than would have physically than would have been if I waited till my whole body deteriorated, right? Um, is a conscious act. And it's going to be added to the collective unconsciousness or the collective consciousness of, oh, it's one more person saying it's okay to die in a graceful way without having to shoot yourself in the head with a gun, um, because this person felt she was ready to die. And that will carry on. There'll be more like me so that eventually this will become commonplace when people are ready, when they've suffered enough, when their quality of life has gotten small enough, um, where it's not worth living anymore, when they've lost meaning, any reason, purpose in life, then it's okay. It's okay to die. Let our society change like Switzerland, consciousness. Let my one act reverberate and be one more person who sets an example for what needs to be in the future. Yeah. Because there's no reason to make people have to just live longer and suffer longer. There's no reason. As I always forget his last name, Stephen, who does the book Die Wise, Jenkinson. He's like, you're just waiting to die longer. It's not like you're living longer, you're just waiting to die longer. And that's not a reason to stay alive. It's like the prayer, like, please let me be dead today. Please, please, please. And so that if it becomes a legal thing, then no one else has to fly to Switzerland and have a lot of money in their savings to be able to pay for the astronomical cost of flying to Switzerland, staying there, and paying for VOD. I mean, it is expensive. And I just happen to have the money because my mother died and left me some money, right? But I wouldn't have had that money in 2016 when I was ready to go. To just say, please, let me die gently, simply, peacefully. Let this be graceful. There's no reason people have to. It's not a graceful death. If you're like my father, they kept him tied up to machines. He was bleeding at the capillaries. I wasn't, my mother didn't even let me say goodbye to him. But, he was fighting, like, tear this stuff off of me. Let me just die peacefully. And the hospital wouldn't, right? And I mean, that's the ultimate of being tortured and a prisoner of war, right? But of having to fight the battle till the very end, and the prisoner doesn't let you have any peacefulness in the process, right? Which to me were the doctors in the hospital were their choice. But um yeah, it's like everyone's entitled to grace in dying. We do that for our animals. I put my dog down before her heart was going to give out, right? But she was so much physical pain from a dog injuring her 3 years earlier. And I tried everything to help her. And she was in so much pain that some days she couldn't walk. And I knew she wanted to die. And she wanted to die probably a year earlier than I wanted her to die. And I cried and cried and cried. And finally, it's like, it's not fair to let her suffer. She's going. And I think she was thrilled, right? So why can't we do that for humans? Aren't we knowing enough to know when we're ready? Why does a doctor have to make that decision, or someone else, or the government have to make that decision? I don't understand that.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you feel you want to speak to in this conversation about medical aid and dying and this decision and your path ahead between now and May 8th?
Yeah, I want to say just something about you and your film. Yeah. Um, the doctor who fought me when I didn't want to go to an oncologist, as I said, maybe 12 years ago. And I was like, I even called the doctor's office to say, I don't know if I can afford to go. How much does it cost? I have a $7,000 deductible now that Obamacare is here. My insurance is way worse, and I have to pay much more. And is a doctor's appointment like 150 or 300, or is it thousands to see an oncologist? Could you give me a ballpark? And they were like, we don't know. We can't tell you something. We can't tell you. And then I called the insurance company. Could you tell me? We can't tell you. It's like, well, then I'm not even going because I don't know that I can afford it. Right. So, um, but I had to fight so that was only that wasn't the primary reason I didn't see the oncologist. That was the secondary reason. Okay. But I had to fight my doctor through emails for a couple of years saying, no, I'm not going to an oncologist. No, I don't want chemo. No, I've seen family members go through this. This is not the path I want to take. And then years later, I went to him. How many years ago? I guess right when I met you, right? When I at least contacted you. He said to me, I was at the Santa Fe Film Festival, and there was this film called The Last Ecstatic Days. And you would so resonate with it, Jamie. And you should really watch it. And I, hadn't gone to the film festival, and I Googled it, couldn't find any place where to see it. So I contacted the contact information about whoever produced the film. I don't know, I don't remember exactly, but I said, I really want to see this film. Could you connect me with the director? And they connected me with you. And you allowed me into a viewing so I could view the film. I'm like, shit, yeah. Why aren't there more films like this? This is like, this was a beautiful death. Ethan had a beautiful death. He was surrounded by loved ones. He was supported by a whole community. He said no more treatments. They're not going to help me. He made a choice, and he died with dignity, with peace, with grace. And I'm like, this film needs to get out to the whole world. More people need to see this. And so this is a plug to your film, but really a plug to more people need to see this film, and many more films like that need to get out there. Films with people like me in it, people who are dying, people with all kinds of situations, so that it's no longer we're the hidden people who no one knows about, but we're open and the public knows about us, and they know, oh yeah, that might one day happen to me, or that one day might happen to my mother or my child or someone I love, right? So that it's not a taboo topic anymore. Thank you for making that film, Scott.
Yeah, thank you for sharing all of this. Um, I think people will really enjoy hearing your reflections, and I'm looking forward to sharing this conversation with people. So, is there anything else that you feel you want to share right now?
No, just that I really, really appreciate you and your work. Yeah. And yeah, I just want to thank you. I feel a lot of gratitude towards you, for all that you've done, how you're helping society, you're making a big difference. So thank you, Scott.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a privilege getting to sort of walk beside you, even though I'm on the other side of the country. And I know that speaking for our film team, we'll be with you on May 8th. Uh,
Oh,
so maybe it'll be May 7th, actually, on the East Coast. I'm not sure what
oh,
time.
it will be. It will be. Yeah. Because if it's like 10 in the morning, it's like, yeah, it's here it's 7 or 8 hour difference. I don't know with the time change if it was 8 hours, but now with the time change, I'm not sure. And yeah, and you're in the East Coast, so it would be a little less. It would be 2 hours less. But yeah. Um, great. Yeah, and thank you for walking with me this whole year and a half or so. I mean, your texts and the interaction and you sending me articles. I mean, you sent me an article on Pegasus, the woman who was really chemically sensitive. And it was like, oh my gosh, that's me. Except I have other things too. There's only one of the things I have, and all those are, like that article was one more thing that made it feel like this is okay. Other people think similarly, it's not just me. I'm not alone in this thought, but you can't share it with all of society. People judge you and look at you weird, right? So no, I thank you for all the communication. It's meant a lot. It has meant a lot, Scott. Thank you.